Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. On 11th June, I was appointed Scotland's first Cabinet Secretary for Housing, with the First Minister placing homes at the heart of his government. A safe, warm and secure and affordable place to call home is fundamental to a life of dignity and opportunity. We have long believed this and since coming to government have invested considerably in it. Since 2007, we've helped deliver more than 139,000 affordable homes, with 99,000 of these available for social rent. This has resulted in the delivery of affordable homes in Scotland being 47% more per head of population than in England and 73% more than in Wales. We have also legislated for some of the most protective anti-homelessness laws of any country and have fully mitigated the UK Government's bedroom tax so that no one in Scotland pays it. Despite this, after years of financial strain from UK austerity and Brexit, the pandemic and other inflationary pressures, there is unprecedented strain in demand for and supply of housing. Presiding Officer, since declaring a housing emergency, significant progress has been made. In May, the Cabinet Secretary for Social Justice updated Parliament on our targeted work to date. This included helping some 2,700 households with children into affordable homes to the year December 24 and bringing almost 1,000 homes back into use in 24-25 through our targeted £40 million investment. We also increased our affordable home supply programme budget to £768 million this year, able to deliver a further 8,000 affordable homes. Additionally, the Scottish Empty Homes Partnership reported earlier today that 2,066 privately owned long-term empty homes were returned to use in 24-25. This is the highest annual amount in 15 years and brings the total homes returned to nearly 13,000. However, there is still much to do and we must go further. The action plan I am setting out today does that. Over the summer, I have worked extensively with partners across the housing sector. It was very important to me to understand their challenges and hear their proposed solutions. My resultant plan is centred on three core missions. Firstly, on ending children living in unsuitable accommodation, as part of this government's work to eradicate child poverty. Secondly, supporting the housing needs of vulnerable communities. And lastly, building our future, maximising growth and investment in Scotland's housing sector. Presiding Officer, children should not live in accommodation which is unsuited to their needs. And whilst temporary accommodation is a vital safety net for families, it must be just that, temporary. John Swinney's government is working to eradicate child poverty, and therefore, through this plan, we will double our acquisition fund from £40 million to £80 million this year, bringing our total additional targeted investment to £120 million since the emergency was declared. This will support the acquisition of at least 1,200 homes over the 18 months of the fund, helping between 600 and 800 children quickly move out of temporary accommodation and into permanent tenancies. I will work with COSLA and with local authorities to make clear our expectation that this funding be concentrated on family-sized homes where they are required. Following the guidance produced by Alacho on flipping temporary accommodation to a settled residence, we will ask councils to now contact every household with children in good quality temporary accommodation to examine flipping opportunities, with this fund helping to replenish temporary stock. We will invest £2 million in discretionary housing payments to support households currently in temporary accommodation to find settled homes in the private rented sector. We will fund pilots, such as private sector leasing schemes, to tackle the use of unsuitable B&Bs and hotels. And subject to parliamentary approval of the Housing Bill, we will introduce a long-term system of rent controls to ensure affordability. Presiding Officer, as well as the availability of homes, I am also focused on the quality. No one in Scotland, and especially no child, should live with damp or mould. So I can confirm that, should Parliament agree, we will raise the standard and quality of all rented accommodation in Scotland by bringing Awab's law into force in the social and private rented sectors from March next year. Presiding Officer, I will now turn to the second pillar of my plan, supporting the housing needs of vulnerable communities. Following Cabinet this morning, I visited the exceptional Scottish Women's Aid team in Edinburgh. I heard from staff who have worked with survivors and their children when they are trying to leave an abusive partner. Domestic abuse is the leading cause of homelessness amongst women, and I know how financial support can help women with children be free of abusive men. Presiding Officer, no woman should flee violence only to face homelessness. That's why my plan will establish a national fund to leave, backed this year by £1 million, to help up to 1,200 women and their children leave an abusive relationship. We know another vulnerable group are those with multiple and complex needs. They are at risk of cyclical homelessness and rough sleeping. Over the summer, I have met with those benefiting from and helping to facilitate Housing First. The stories of resilience, of hope and recovery, they will always stay with me. And to support them, I can confirm we will now invest an additional £4 million this year to expand the delivery of Housing First tenancies. And in response to strong calls from the sector, we will extend Rapid Rehousing Transition Plan funding to 26-27 and invest £500,000 in winter preparedness measures to ensure people get a suitable bed for the night in the cold winter months. Looking forward, Presiding Officer, I'm focusing on building our future by maximising growth and investment in Scotland's housing sector. This means continuing to invest extensively in affordable homes and, at the same time, working to create the optimum conditions to foster confidence and investment. I referred earlier to the valuable engagement with partners this summer. In this, there was a consistent call for the certainty that multi-year funding trajectories can provide. Today, the Scottish Government is positively answering that call, and I confirm that we will provide that multi-year funding forward look. We will complement this with a new delivery ambition to increase delivery across all tenures by at least 10% each year over the first 3 years of the next Parliament. In support of this ambition, and knowing how vital continued development is to both availability and affordability, I take this opportunity to confirm my intention in principle to exempt mid-market rent and build-to-rent properties where appropriate from the rent controls being introduced in the Housing Scotland Bill. Such exemptions would be designed to protect and promote investment in these sectors and were a clear call from our Housing Investment Task Force. We will work with East Lothian Council and private sector partners to unlock investment in the Newtown Blindwells, with the potential to deliver 10,000 homes. And I'll also support first-time buyers on low or medium incomes by reopening the open market shared equity scheme to them. Presiding Officer, as a rural MSP, I know well how the housing challenges differ between Scotland's diverse places. As well as continuing to fund the Rural and Islands Housing Fund, we will expand our work engaging public bodies, landowners and the Scottish National Investment Bank to unlock land for housing in rural Scotland. Now, key to all of this is our planning system. The Planning and Housing Emergency Delivery Plan of November last year set out 23 actions, and we have made good progress against these. My action plan takes our planning commitments further. I can confirm today that we will issue a new notification direction to planning authorities, through which ministers will closely monitor the application of planning policy and intervene where needed. The Minister for Public Finance, Chief Planner and I will also write to planning authorities, setting out our expectations of customer service and proportionality when dealing with SME house builders, and separately to all planning stakeholders on our expectation of an emergency-led approach across development plan preparation and the determination of planning applications. Finally, Presiding Officer, I referred earlier to our commitment to offer multi-year funding certainty. Having confirmed this, I'm pleased to go further today by accompanying this forward look with a significant step up in funding. I'm pleased to confirm that we will invest up to £4.9 billion over the coming 4 years, supporting the delivery of around 36,000 affordable homes, providing up to 24,000 children with a warm, safe home. While further details will be outlined in the forthcoming spending review, the delivery will be a mixture of public and privately leveraged investment. Presiding Officer, it is a rounded and ambitious package that I present today. I trust that members will find much within it to welcome. What they will not find, Presiding Officer, is a single word dedicated to spreading fear and division in our communities. They will not find a single word scapegoating those who seek refuge in Scotland. I call on the UK Home Office to properly fund and organise their asylum processes, but I recommit Scotland to be a welcoming and inclusive nation. Presiding Officer, I call on all partners to join us in delivering the bold actions set out in my plan today, not least members of the Housing to 2040 Board, whose support and enthusiasm I so value. Let's now work together to turn our commitment into action and action into early, positive and lasting change. Thank you.
Thank you. The Cabinet Secretary will